We'll just make fun of the
Today's
cell
lesson is called mortgages. Okay, this only thing just to make sure I wrote this down. Okay, so this is when you borrow money. And everyone in this room eventually is going to borrow money. Okay, whether it's for school, whether it's for a car, whether it's for a house, whether it's for a trip, whether it's paying off your MasterCard every month, everyone is going to need debt at one point in their life. So this equation is for you. The equation is this: PV. PV equals R 1 minus 1 plus I to the negative n all over I. Okay, so as you can see, these equations are getting more difficult as we go. Now, before everyone asks, we need to memorize this your test. No, you won't. I'm going to give you this one. If you're in the U course, I would make you memorize this. Okay, but not for you guys. Nice. I didn't say that. PV equals R equals I equals N equals. Yes. Now, this is why this is difficult. This is R times 1 minus 1 plus I to the exponent negative n. So there's a negative exponent in here, divided by I. Okay, now, just like the rain formula yesterday, I think for the people that were here, had a pretty good understanding of it. Corey, am I right? Did you feel good at the end of yesterday's lesson? Yeah, that's good. I felt good too. No, did you feel good at yesterday's lesson? See that? Okay, so the point is for this looks scary. After today, you'll say no problem, this is easy. I'll give you the test tomorrow. I won't though, but you would be thinking of that. Okay, so where are we at here now? We are at Conrad. Please do not text in this class, Conrad. Okay, can you please try and give me one of the last 3 letters, what they would be? PD is the new one, RI and N equals before. R is the interest? I is the interest rate. I is the interest rate. And just like what we did yesterday, and the day before, and the day before that, you can divide it, you can do compound interest, you can do all that sort of stuff, okay? You know, dividing by monthly, weekly, and all that sort of stuff. Ivan, can you tell me what R or N means, please? Yeah, okay, so this is going to be like your regular amount. I'll call it regular payment is what I call it this time. So when the question says Mr. Sadler pays $10,000 a month for something, right, that's going to be the R, that'll be the regular time. Victoria, can you take a guess what N is going to be? N is time, certainly. Why is it? Well, it's like number of compounding periods, the textbook definition of it, okay? But I would use T if I were to do this, I'd call it, but. And PV is going to be amount borrowed, so initial amount. The PV comes from present value. Okay. So those are going to be the 4 things. This is when you borrow money. So we're going to do one example. The tricky part in this unit, when you get your test and your assignment tomorrow, is going to be when you use each. Okay. So this is whenever it says Shelby borrows $100,000 for a university, because that's what universities in the States. Find more of that. Okay. We'll talk about school here in a sec. Here. Example 1. Okay, we're going to say Shelby wants to buy a house. She tells the bank she can afford payments we'll say afford monthly payments of $1,100. If the bank gives her a loan at 6% comp monthly over 25 years, how much house could she buy?
How much?
You heard it right.
Good thing you're not an English teacher.
How much house can she buy? I want to buy a lot of house. Okay, now, I'll go with it, okay? Because this is what the problem is, okay? The bank will go up to you and say, when you go to get a bank, they'll say, okay, Noah, you cut wood. I think that I will give you a $400,000 mortgage. Okay. The problem with that is
business is taken up.
I know it is. So the problem is they'll say, okay, $400,000 monthly, but you've got to be thinking in mind, what can you actually afford? Can you afford to make those payments? So what I did when I bought my house, I went through the number in my head. I looked at how much I could afford, and I said, this is what I can afford. How much money can I get? And that's what this question is going to say. So for Shelby, you're saying she can afford $1,100 a month. Okay, that's what you're going to pay for your house. 25 years is the standard mortgage. Okay, 25 years is when you get a mortgage. 25 years is sort of the magic number banks do. 6% is a little high for right now. But for our first example, it is a long time, but that's what a house is. Or 30. You heard it in the States a few years ago. The states almost shut down because all the houses foreclosed and all that stuff. They were giving 40-year mortgages to people. What's the problem with giving a young person a 40-year mortgage?
Something like
Go ahead. Well, even still, let's say you give me
might
what's the
die.
problem with giving all that? So what happens
you'll
if
die.
Well, that's the thing. If you give me a 40-year mortgage, I'm 35 years old. 35 plus 40 is what?
85.
Taylor, your parents are going to be proud of you when they hear that answer. Okay, now, 75. So the problem is, when do people stop working? 65, right? Your number one goal in life should be when the day you retire, whether it be at 42 or 65, you should owe nothing to anybody, right? Like, when I'm retired at 65, or whenever I go before that, I want to make sure I don't owe anything, right? So that I don't owe money to anybody. The problem we got in the States, they give people mortgages so they still be paying when they're 75 years old. How can they do that, right? That's one of the problems with it. So the point is, in Canada, 25-year mortgage is sort of the standard here. And now, talking here right now. Shelby, you're up. Oh, sorry. Well, you can get house insurance. Like, so you can get it so that when you die, you can get what's called mortgage insurance. So they'll cover it. But if you don't, well, I'll tell you my story in a sec. They don't give insurance to everyone, right? I'm diabetic, so I can't get insurance. I have no insurance. I have car insurance and like house in case my house burns down. But I have no insurance on my life because being a diabetic, you're going to die soon. I'm going to die before all of you guys. Okay, so I can't get any insurance for that. So if I were to die tomorrow, knock on wood, okay, well, my wife would still owe, you know what I mean, for the mortgage and all that sort of stuff, right? So, but generally, yeah, you pay, and I'd recommend that too. If you fork over $3 or $4 an extra pay to cover that, do it. Right? So set your mind at ease, set your family's mind at ease. Okay, so anyway, enough of my problems though. Let's go to this. Shelby, can you recite from memory or from the board what the relation is, please? Excellent. Okay, I'm going to write this on the board. Please make sure you put these down on the page. Ty, can you be brave, please, and give me one piece of information for this question?
I is 0.0655.
Because, right, this were months in this case, right? So divide by 12, which should be 0.005. Now, yesterday people were getting in trouble because remember, it has to be a decimal, your percent. So I know it's hard to see past Taylor's head here. I'm sorry. People are doing this behind you. They didn't say your shoulders, they said yeah, but that's okay. All right, Taylor, you're up. Can you give me another piece of information, please?
And it's 25 years.
Yes, but not quite right. Because it is years where you could switch over to months. 250, 100, right? Because you're paying every month, so you're paying for 300 months. Okay, Luke, can I get another piece of information, please?
You don't know PP.
All right. Jake, all the way in the back. What else do you know?
R is 1,000.
Yes. But again, hopefully you guys know I'm not picking on you guys on purpose, I am picking on you, but you guys gotta know how to get this information. Okay, so thank you for playing along the whole year. I haven't said it yet, but honestly, thank you guys for playing along. You've been very good at volunteering all through the year. All right, Lynn, can you tell me what to write now, please? Yeah. 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 Very good. Okay. This you can do in a magic calculator in one step, but this is, I'm going to show all my work in this case. Okay, because this, if you want to do it in one step, Alex, how many times did you have to go there? I like that. Okay, sorry. Okay, you can do this all in one step if you want to. Okay, right, but I'm going to show you all the way through. If you don't have a super calculator, what is the it's up to anybody here? What is the absolute first thing I should do here in my calculator? Victoria, inside the bracket. What part of inside the bracket? Exponents. So I'm going to do first, I'm going to do 1.005 negative 300. That's the first thing I'm going to do. You can also write that down. That turns into what then?
0.223.
Keep going.
96568.
And if you had a supercomputer, now, before I move on, I need to make sure everyone takes the next 10 seconds and actually tries to do that. 1.005 to negative 300, that's the difficultest, I am also a teacher, the most difficultly part of this question. No, because this is the thing that gets people mixed up here, that's why I want to show this. Was anyone unable to get 0.2239 ... I got 170,000. You didn't get it, Shirley? I got you, sorry, somebody heard it. I thought that was you. We're good? Shelby, you're good? Okay, so I heard somebody said, is that negative? No, it's not. You have to do 1 minus that number. 1 minus that number should be 0. What is that? 7760341. Someone can just, I did that in my head, someone confirm that for me. I'd be happy, that's right. Okay, so this is not the time to sit back. If something's not clear, please ask. Okay, this is just calculator work again here. Again, if you think this is too much work for you and you have a super duper calculator, do it all in one step, that's fine. Make sure you get the right answer. When you times that all together, 1100 times that divided by that, somebody get a final answer.
170,747.
Okay, we're sorry. What's that? 170.
727.
Yeah.
0.5.
5.
45. Yeah. 5.
Now, this is the scary part, not to scare you guys. I'm not here to scare you guys today. Somebody tell me what that means in English. About that much. What does that mean? So about that much. Therefore, shall be combined. $170,727.55. Worth of house. Okay, now here's the depressing part. Not depressing, sorry, you guys should be inspired. Do you know what the average house price in Canada is right now?
200 points.
That's about 270, 280 in that part, okay? Which means you're paying a lot more than $170,000. Which means your money's a lot more than $1,100 a month. That's a lot. Okay. Okay. Just before we do the next example, I'll talk about mortgage for 1 sec. Any questions? Anyone unable to get that 170? Sam, how are we doing? Okay.
Taylor, you got it.
Okay, so here we go. I want to talk about reducing the mortgage quickly, and then I'm going to move to the next example. Okay, I want to talk about different ways to reduce your mortgage. This will be on your final exam, I guarantee. Okay, because if there's one thing that I want you to remember, Sam, from this class at the end, is ways to do this. Okay, this will make your life a whole lot easier. And I would think of ways. This took 25 years, $1,100. And think of a way I can reduce my mortgage. Yes. Yes.
A really
Bigger
good down payment.
Yes.
Can a mortgage?
Well, No, we'll leave that for right now.
Pay with cash.
Yeah, okay, well, bigger down payment now. This is how much you actually borrowed. Let's just say that Shelby had $100,000 in her back pocket. Her house is now 270, right? So that's a little bit more realistic. What else can you do if you want this money? What's another way to do this? Very good. One, excellent. What else could you do? Two other things to think of.
Lock in, like to a mortgage when the interest is.
Ooh, good.
Crystal meth.
It says get a lower interest rate. And it says shop around. Okay. If once you guys get your house, okay. Okay. This is again, Terry, if there's one thing I want you to get from this whole course, this be it. Okay. When you buy your mortgage, what happens to banks is they'll open up student bank accounts. So when you're like 5 years old, you get your first bank account. Okay, so let's say for me, I was at Bank of Montreal when I was a kid. I got my account when I was 5. I just loved it. Why does the banks give kids bank accounts? Why do they
Stick with them for their life.
You stick with them for their life. That's generally what they want to happen. I want you guys all to be positive, good consumers. The day you're going to get a mortgage, go to every single bank in whatever town you live. It's no way that may be hard to find many banks, okay? But for the point is here, go to 5 or 6 different banks, shop online, and get the lowest rate that you can. Right? Like I like Royal Bank where I'm at now. Right? I like them, they're good service. But when I go to renegotiate my mortgage, if I have to find the cost speech at a lower rate, I'm going to them. It's going to save you huge money, right? Again, every people will go around, like people like my wife goes through the flyers like crazy every week looking for the best deal on milk and everything else, right? But she wouldn't do the same thing. She's stuck with the same bank she's had for 20 years and she hasn't even gone close to it. It doesn't make any sense, right? All right, number 3. And this, no one said this yet. I'll write this down. Is it increase your payments? I'm going to say bracket every time you get paid, every time you get a raise. And we talked about this already on my last one being a millionaire, but I'll write it down here again. Okay. Again, if I get a raise of $50, $25 guaranteed is either going into savings or to pay down my mortgage or to pay off student loans or something like that. Guaranteed. Why does it make sense again to pay it for student savings? Yes.
Because you're not used to that money anyway.
Yeah. If somebody gives me an extra $50, then it's really only 25, and 25 is my savings, my mortgage is no big deal, right? So do that. The same thing. Let's say you get an extra $1,000, you win the lottery, or your grandmother dies, or what have you, and you have extra money you can put on there. Go ahead. Because I hope nobody's grandmother dies. But all right, I'm going to hit pause here, and then we'll go to our next example.